welcome again to Maurice Boland. Once he's there, we can't get rid of. This is part 2, actually. We mentioned the last one we did was part 1. And he's moved closer to La Concha. La Concha is a mountain in Marbella, and it's sunnier there than it is here in Portugal. Welcome back, Maurice.
Thank you. I think that you maybe have a desire, an ambition for us to become Ant and Dec. I think you should look more towards Morecambe and Wise, maybe. But Ant and Dec, maybe Little and Large, or how about Laurel and Hardy? But anyway, it's good to see you again, looking fit and looking fit. Well, looking.
Looking, yeah, we got down to looking. Well, listen, I mean, we're beach fellows, obviously. We've got the beach. That's Praia da Luz in Portugal. Sadly, that was where Madeleine McCann, all those years ago, was taken. That's an ongoing thing. Maybe we can discuss that one day. And really, the town is a bit sad still. People don't, buy properties there as they should do, perhaps. But that's what it is. Fantastic beach, fantastic geology. If I move around a bit, there you go.
Nice sand dune. It looks nice. It looks very nice. I've only been in Portugal once, and that was to do Jimmy Tarbuck's 60th. That shows you how long ago it was. I went there to do a radio broadcast there with Jimmy. I think we spoke about that last time.
Was it a golfing event, knowing him?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Jimmy was a sort of a fan, I think, of Marbella, and for some reason, he left Marbella and took up his holidays or his holiday home in Portugal. And was it Valdelobo?
Yes, and, that's a nice area.
Jimmy's a great fan of golf. Interesting. Jimmy hates to fly. He will only drive. So he drive. You'd always know his car. I think it was a Volvo, but his registration is COM1C.
That's great.
Yeah. That comic, and that's his registration. But yes, I went down there to do a radio broadcast live from his celebrity golf tournament, and he had an array of stars. And of course, you probably know that Cliff Richard lives down there, and
he's one of our neighbours actually, but he's sold up actually now. He had a vineyard. Used to show people around the vineyard, yeah. And the wine, and you will, as a connoisseur, know this.
I don't drink.
You don't drink at all, Maurice?
Well, I might pour a glass, but I'll just sip it. I'll just do it socially. I won't, I'm not a drinker at all. I never have been. It's funny being an Irishman and not a drinker, but I think it's because I own and stuff like that I've seen so many people make fools of themselves, I think. But it doesn't agree with me. Alcohol does not agree with me.
That's all right. Everybody's different, and I don't participate very much, but I do like a nice red. And when you get to Spain and Portugal, they both do nice reds. But what has surprised me being here, a quality red is still €3 to €4 a bottle. You'd be paying double or treble that in Spain, and it is smooth like the French wine. So I can recommend it.
I don't drink. I only had that short visit to Portugal to do this broadcast, and it was nice. So, there was an hour behind us here in Spain and 10 years behind us. I think it's a bit slow down there. It's very different.
I would say it's further behind than that, and perhaps no bad thing either. No. I'm not meant to be rude about Portugal. Just the way I found it, and I found the people. I found them very, very nice, very pleasant. One thing I noticed about Portugal, I was maybe I said this before when I was speaking on part 1, but driving through Portugal towards Valdelobo, I said to my wife, "My God, these trees are very straight. Look at them; they're absolutely straight." And we then realized that they're not trees; they're radio masts. And in Portugal, I think the law is that they've got to be disguised, which I think is an excellent idea, because these masts are really ugly. It needs to be disguised as a tree. And I thought it was quite good. Well, they do that in the UK, They do that by the motorways in the UK, but they're so horrible they try to disguise it with one of these big fir trees, and it's so obviously not a fir tree.
Yeah. They were in Ireland. They're doing the same thing, except people were cutting them down for firewood, so they had to stop doing them. I'm only joking.
Ho ho ho!
Let me just point out that the stuff that I'm looking at the news. In fact, I'm writing at the moment. I am an avid social media what you call person. I enjoy writing. I've always enjoyed writing, and I'm not very good at English. In fact, I'm dyslexic, which is terrible if you're a writer. But
You're lousy at Irish as well. Go on.
Yeah, I am. But I enjoy writing, and I say as I feel. There's one of the great, I think, faults on radio down here. Certainly for a while. Yes, I'll say down here. It's not because I'm not on radio at the moment. It's just that I feel that if there's confrontation or with a presenter, they'll always answer by, we're not going to do that now, and sort of not hang up, but go back to the subject that we're in. And I love confrontation. I love debate. I love being taken on. And when I went on air first 30 odd years ago, when I was offered a 5-second delay, I turned it down. I said, no, I want to take it face on, by gobs. I'm taking it on even today. Even today, I'm writing a piece about the Easter Sunday in London, and Hyde Park was packed with people, and Brighton, what you call Broadway, whatever, not the beach, but the, what you call that, promenade.
Yes, the promenade, that's it, the Paseo.
It had photographs that they were packed. And of course, people are writing to me saying, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. And I'm trying to get an answer to this. How do they know it's fake? How do they know? One guy said, I can tell you how I know it's fake. And I said, well, tell me how you know it's fake. He said, because the press is printed in the morning. And how can they be there on Easter Sunday in the afternoon? And I said, because it's online, and every few seconds they update the pages.
Yeah.
And he disappeared. And then another person who's come forward now, I'm not going to name anyone, and said, Maurice, the reason I know they're fake is because all the news and tabloids are fake.
Well, that's a good answer. Come on, let's talk, Maurice, let's talk about the press, because the press, like estate agents, lawyers, have come in for some bad press. It started with Brexit, did it not? Everybody was fed up with Brexit, and we got Brexit for Brexit, and dinner and tea. That's not.
I wish we could go back to Brexit. Rodney, I wish we would go back to Brexit right now.
I agree with you. And now we've got the Corona thing. And I tell you what, it is known in the television industry that there's a big loss leader, and that is news programs, because it takes so much manpower and expense. Nobody ever gains any money from news programs, but they do now. Look at all the adverts that are on Sky News, they're making a fortune. They'll deny it, but they're making a fortune. They love tragedy and bad news. Boy, they're in Wonderland, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. You know, it's interesting. The press is all we rely on now. We don't have an outside world as such unless the press bring it into our living room. We rely on the press, including the press, of course, is television and radio. Without them, we are cut off totally. Here in Spain today, for some reason, they've decided to let the unskilled certain unskilled workers back into the market. I think this is based on an economic reason and not a health reason. And it worries me that this is going to backfire. Please God, it doesn't. Please God, it doesn't. But I don't see the logic, except if it's economic, I see the logic. But if it's solely economic, I think is wrong. But I don't see the logic. Where has the virus gone that they think they can release, 20 million people? Where is that virus?
Well,
it hasn't disappeared.
We've got a big problem. We've got a big problem in Portugal, not as big as you in Spain. And in fact, I was calculating the figures this very day, and you are 10 times more likely to catch the virus in Spain than you are in Portugal. Now, Portugal started off earlier, and you can buy things, as we've mentioned before, masks and fluid to clean your hands, and also gloves from practically every pharmacia, every chemist. No problems. Don't know what Spain's doing. Even worse, don't know what the UK are doing. You can't get anything there.
Well, in Spain now, out of the 20 million people, whatever they've allowed, I made up that figure, 20 million. It could be 1 million, it could be 20 million, it could be 10 million, I don't know. But the mass of people that were allowed back to work today, the law is that they're going to be provided with gloves and masks on the, in buses and wherever in public.
Well, building sites in particular, they've gone back en masse, literally.
Yeah, I've been listening to Dr. Hillary, who's on Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan, and he and many of the experts say the problem with a mask is if you have the virus and it protects others, right? But if you haven't got it and people sneeze and cough as normal, it'll be entrapped on the cloth that's the mask. And as soon as you put your hands up, because everybody puts their hands up to their face, it's much more dangerous. And they were recommending not. So there's two schools of thought here, Rodney. Mask or no mask. Well, I wear a mask. I wear one because people think I look better in it. But
yeah, you got that one in before me.
Yeah, that's only in the house. But no, I think that we're in a very scary situation still. I don't think it's eased all, but it should be very interesting to see how. Where are you going? He's a wanderer. What's he doing? Looking up how to interview.
This is my script because there is one word that Maurice will never get a handle on, and I'm going to have some difficulty.
What's that? No talking.
Maurice, that could never apply to you. I found it. Hydroxychloroquine.
Would help if you could pronounce it.
It's not quite right, but you get the gist. Yeah. Now that's what Maurice has been taking. That's what Maurice has been taking for years. No. This is tonic water, Maurice.
Oh, I see.
And when that's mixed with another drug, it has proved efficacious. There's a good word. And we're not getting it. The rumor is that Boris got it, of course, from his pal, Mr. President in America.
And thank God he's on the mend and he's fine. If I say the name to you, Jennifer Haller, the key to saving the world, as she says, I am proud to help. First person in the world to try the coronavirus vaccine has described her experience, saying it is like taking a flu shot. Now, if this works, it could be our savior. But one thing none of us will know is the side effects for a couple of years. And that's the risk that I'll take, and many millions will take, and I know many millions won't take. So if I was to tell you, there's the vaccine, you're fine, you're fit, there's nothing wrong with you, you look a bit peculiar, but otherwise you're fine. Here's the vaccine that will protect you from the coronavirus, but I cannot guarantee the side effects. Would you take it?
Good question. But you've not got that problem with a drug that's been on the market nearly 50 years, that aforementioned drug. And when it's mixed with another drug, the chances of it going nasty, even after 50 years again, minimal. That's the drug I would take.
But you have no choice, my dear. The drug will be the only one out there.
You know, you said something a bit prophetic there, because allegedly, and I know for a fact, factually, the WHO, World Health Organization, want us to all have a jab, not just for the coronavirus, but for other things. And they say this is the way to live longer. Think about that. Think about lack of freedom. Think about what they can put in that drug. That's not good.
Rodney, I do know you're a lot older than me, but one of the things.
Either.
Okay, sorry, you look a lot older. One of the things that worries me is this lockdown thing. Will they put a limit on the age those people will be allowed out. So they might say, look, over 60, you're going to have to stay in until you get the orders to come out.
Yes,
you know,
they're talking about that already. They're going to limit the climb down, call it what you like. Young people will be all right, they're not going to catch it, or very few of them are. But the last ones to be looked after will be the grannies again.
The grannies of intention. Yeah, it's funny how we were born and everyone goes goo goo gaga gaga, and we sort of go goo 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 gaga back. And when it comes to the end, we do the exact same thing.
Yeah, well, I can't say that you've started early, of course, but carry on.
I did start early. I did. I'm born in Ireland, in Dublin. And I wrote a piece yesterday about Easter. I can't remember how I headed it up. I think it was a Jewish boy dealing with Easter in Dublin. And I wrote about it saying, when I was a kid, Ireland's a Christian country. So majority of people there are Christians, not very few Jews. And as I was a kid, on my road where I lived, all the kids on Easter Sunday were opening up their Easter eggs. At the exact same time of Easter, normally, the Passover falls. Now, the Passover is the only time, really, that most Jews will keep what's called a kosher home. And they will eat matzah, unleavened bread, nothing with flour. Chocolate's got flour in them, etc. So when I was a kid, although my parents weren't very strict, it was the 8 days that they sort of kept, And so no chocolate, except kosher chocolate, which is made specially, etc., etc. So I was terrified if I took a bite of chocolate.
Hang on, what kosher chocolate? What's in it?
Well, I don't know, Rodney. I'm not a rabbi, actually. But I always thought if I took a bite, I would go to hell. So I remember with all my friends, they would open up stuff their faces with. And in my kitchen was a large Easter egg. And that has to wait till the 8 days is over. And then I can have it. And hot cross buns was another thing. I was desperate for a hot cross bun.
My goodness,
with flour.
Why haven't you been thrown out of the synagogue? You're mentioning all the non-kosher words now.
Yeah, but I couldn't get them. So, there you are. The frustration. So I want you to know, when you're stuffing your face tonight with your Easter egg, I'm looking at one in the kitchen and just dribbling.
Well, yes, they are sign of age again. We are incarcerated on a phenomenal golf course, the other end of the Algarve, the west end, the Atlantic end. And there's only about 3 houses occupied on this massive golf course. But one of our neighbours, bless them, came up to me, shouted at me today at a suitable distance of 2 meters, "I've got an Easter egg for you." And it was a little one of those Cadbury's Easter eggs.
Chocolate cream eggs.
That's that's on sale most of the year now. But bless their hearts, they thought of us and they'd save these eggs. So now we've got to sanitize them, spray them, wait for 3 days, and then we can eat them.
Yeah. We talk about, we lost 2 iconic, two. Tim Brooke Taylor died of the coronavirus in the 70s. And of course, the one and only Mr. Sterling Moss died of, he's been ill for a long time.
Yeah.
He died. So we've lost 2. But, when you read about, of course, Tim Brooke Taylor, or any of these celebrities who die of the coronavirus, so everybody else is dying, those others, so they don't get such a mention. But these people that we know of, we don't know of a lot of the people that have died, but Tim Brooke Taylor because he comes into our house through our televisions or through our newspapers. It just brings it home. You think, well, these people will be treated specially because they're celebrities, but they're not. No one. And Boris Johnson's speech was very moving yesterday after coming out of hospital.
Yes, I think he got it right. We met Tim Brooke Taylor in London in an art exhibition that we were invited to cover, and had a good chat to him. Lovely guy, very special humour. Didn't descend to where some of the modern humour descends to, and a very gentle soul. Nice guy. Shame. He was 79, by the way, so in his 80th year.
Yeah, well, when you think of, so is Ringo Starr.
Yes, indeed.
Tom Jones. You know, up there is Paul McCartney, Rod Stewart, Mick Jagger. They're all heading there at speed.
Well, Rod Stewart, of course, infested, and that's the right word. Estepona, not far from you, for many years. And
I was in that house. I was in that house with a young girl called Mandy Smith. And
oh my goodness me, that takes me back.
Yeah,
not personally, I must add.
I'm sure. I remember enjoying his wonderful collection of Art Deco as his big thing. It was, yes. I don't know if it still is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're all heading on there. When you think of my grandfather, and I thought he was an old man, he was probably only 40, but I used to look at him as an old man. And then I remember when I opened my first club in Dublin, I remember the manager coming running over to me one day, I was 19, and saying, "Oh my, Maurice, this is so embarrassing." I said, "What?" He said, "Your parents are dancing." And I said, "Oh, that's awful." But they were probably 38 years old.
Yes, well, it's allowed.
Yeah, I know, but it's amazing how the world has changed for older people. That we live longer, we some of us look better, some, Rodney. You know. But
I'm going to draw this chat. I nearly said interview. It's not. It's a monologue practically.
No, I shall. But an interviewer would certainly have a script, right? This is just like an afternoon cup of tea, I suppose. Or in my case,
that's
a coffee.
The real reason I'm going there, because my tea awaits, and scone or scone, depending on where you come from. We get frozen scones and scones both in Spain and Portugal, delivered personally by Mr. Iceland. And I mention Mr. Iceland because I think he's a good chap. He was the first one to come up with the idea of, yeah, it's a good idea to serve the NHS people, but for goodness sake, it's great to serve the grannies as well. And he was the first one that says to the middle-aged and the young people, you take second place. We will make deliveries first to the pensioners. So that's good. Well done, him.
Oh, he's made a, look, I watched a documentary. He's made an absolute fortune out of his business. Absolute fortune. I don't think they were forced to close. I'm not sure during the lockdown here. They're also talking about schools going back here shortly. I just really are worried about what will happen, because whatever happens, it won't happen the next few days. It will only happen when whoever, God forbid, catches the virus till it takes hold. But we're showing lower figures in Spain today, thank goodness, that we've shown for a long time. As I say, in England, the death rate's past 11,000 now. And those figures, you know, you think of 9/11, 3,000 people, but now 11,000 in so short time, such a short time. And people that say, well, people die of flu. Well, they do die of flu, but this is a different thing. They have vaccines for flu, and they have certain drugs to treat the flu when you go to hospital, and people who have medical problems will die of flu. But this is a virus that's spreading. I'm not saying the flu isn't spreading at a tremendous speed. How many people have died in America? Was it 2 million? I can't. No.
Oh, no. Much below that. And listen, now is not the time, but we will cover America in our next chat, because you are not getting the truth. We are, and it's quite spectacular. But we'll leave that to next time. I want my cuppa. I want me and my scone. And you can have your scone.
Let me give you one tip. Let me give you one tip, Rodney. You know that set of teeth that you have, the ones that you bought.
Which ones? The good? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but you watch the frozen scones. You could just chip them. So be careful. Use the other set.
Oh my goodness me! Yes, it's been a real pleasure. It says here to speak with you, Maurice. See you shortly.
Okay, Rodney. Good luck and sláinte.